What up, everybody? How we doing? How we doing? The title of the video is exactly what happened. I did go to the Diddy trial. I know it's crazy. The trial was so interesting. I actually had to switch cities. I'm in Philadelphia right now. If you can see, I'm around the Independence Visit Center and everything like that. But yeah, before I left New York City, I had to stop by the Diddy trial. Some of you may know that I work with a bunch of other content creators doing editing and production and stuff. So if you guys need your videos done and done right, let me know. But that was the reason why we went there. And I got a lot to say about that shit, man. I got a lot to say about it. Number one, I actually think that Diddy is actually going to be let off for this whole entire thing. I'll be real with you. And there's a lot to why that is and everything. There's a lot to talk about with that. And we'll get to that. But first, I just want to talk about the trial in general. Going over there, man, it was a circus. And, I don't use that term lightly. There wasn't as many people as, I would have thought would have been there. That is one thing. But it's also like the third week of this trial. That being said, there was just so much press there, like not even just like traditional press like NBC and stuff like that, but like for real, like content creators and everybody's trying to get their little piece off of this Diddy thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's actually going to get off for this case. And listen, when I say that he's going to be found not guilty or get off for this case, I don't mean that I think he's innocent of any of the awful crimes that have been alleged in his behavior. It's not that. It's just that, this legal stuff can be kind of funny. People don't realize, like, it's not just about, do you think this person's bad? He should go away. There's a lot of, small little shit that can really cause a court case to just go down the drain. And I feel like that's a lot of what is happening here with this, Diddy case, for real. This whole Diddy trial has been nuts. I mean, I went there. Number one, everybody, like, all the content creators that are there are trying to interview other content creators. And I think the fact that people made it into such a zoo and such a circus is good for content, but as far as for making things into an actual viable trial, this actually helps him. And people don't actually realize that type of stuff. Like, because of all the outrageous accusations people make, because of all the outrageous videos people are making about this guy, and all these funny, hot takes, and they are funny, but because of all these funny hot takes and shit like that, there's a lot of plausible deniability. Everybody wants their time in the sun, Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. So you have a lot of people who are just coming out and just saying random shit about the guy because they know that they can pile on right now and get views. And this is kind of back to what we were saying, or what I was saying about how the internet can be toxic and how people getting monetized has actually led to a lot of really insidious stuff happening in the country, because you have people who are willing to lie and spread all sorts of misinformation for not even a check, for the possibility of a check. And you kind of see it in the Diddy case. This dude, I'm not saying the dude was nasty, he clearly was, but at the same time, you have like 800 different cases coming at this guy. 800 is an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. There's over 100. He's definitely in the 3 digits right now. And, these are people that have alleged to have met him at one time. You don't even know if that's true. A lot of this stuff, you see it coming in the headlines every day, and it's like, even though I think he's nasty, I know damn well all those people didn't meet that man and do that with that man, And while it's funny for us to watch, a judge watches that and starts making notes in his head about what is true and not true. You know what I mean? Not to mention, Diddy's whole legal team is top tier. I mean, we were just talking to a bunch of people yesterday, a lot of legal advisors and stuff like that, on this whole Diddy trial, this whole Diddy case, and the whole S trafficking situation. And they're basically saying what I'm saying to you right now, in the sense of too many people wanting their 15 minutes of fame have muddied the waters too much, that he might not even get a not guilty, but he really might get like a mistrial. And then on top of that, you know, he has, on top of just the antics, he has so much money. Like, you know, I think we all know Diddy's rich, but I don't think we know to the extent of Diddy's wealth. Like, truthfully, like really and truthfully, it's a dangerous amount of wealth. Like, nobody should be that wealthy on this earth, you know? And especially because he was forced out of all his companies, he was forced to liquidate all those assets. A lot of people don't know a lot of this stuff when it comes to finance. When there is when somebody's like a billionaire, right? They're usually not a billionaire in like liquid money, meaning like they can't just go to Chase Bank and pull out $1 billion, right? They might have like 200 million in the bank, and then, you know, 50 million is in a building, which is just an asset. They bought that building, it has that worth, right? You know, so they buy like a bunch of different buildings that are all worth 50 million. Maybe they have a company that's worth like 300-400 million. Oh shit, almost busted my ass trying to tell y'all the truth. They have a company worth like 400 million, and so on and so forth, right? And because Diddy was essentially dispelled from all these places, pushed out of all these places, he had to liquidate all his shares in those companies, which means he now just has the liquid billion. You know, this is, you know, a lot of it is hearsay as far as his finances, but it's just common sense as well too. And there were a lot of people saying that, I believe it was in the last trial day, the day before, that it was corroborated, finally, officially confirmed, that Diddy has 300 million in over 12 different bank accounts. 300 million. Like, bro, there are people who don't even touch $250,000 in their entire lives. You know? Shit, there are people that if they made $100,000 a year, it would completely change their lives. This dude has $300 million, not in one account, in 12 of them. So that should give you an eye of what how capable he is of getting things done, and how capable of a legal team he has if he's paying people like that, you know? And that's really the main issue with him, I think, right now, and how he's gonna get off. There's just so much foolishness going on with the people putting stuff out there, and then on top of that, just the expertise of all the people he's hired to deal with him, you know? And, you know, literally, like, just being at the court, I'm not gonna say that people weren't laughing at the people, you know, capping for Diddy, putting their Superman cape on. Everybody was, but at the same time, there was a feeling in the air of, yeah, this guy's clearly gonna get out of this, you know? And it really is just because, like, you know, obviously the things he's alleged to do, is hard to talk in this legal speak, but obviously the things he's have been alleged to have done, some of them seem to be confirmed, or at least true, but the issue is the RICO case, realistically, you know? I keep saying this, but like, the feds were dumb to do this. Basically, the reason this whole Diddy thing got so out of control was because of the feds, you know? Like, everybody thought the Cassie shit was crazy and they were busting his balls. And like, I know this nigga's weird. But once the feds came in and raided and everything, that's when it got serious, and it became this new, like, he's the new Epstein, all that stuff, which is salacious, but it's not gonna get you anywhere. Because at the end of the day, what he was doing wasn't a business. Does that make sense? Like, all right, I put it this way, and I was explaining it to my friend the other day, as far as the S trafficking allegation, right? Like, imagine, like, they're trying to make it seem like the women he was hiring and the men that he was hiring is part of his criminal enterprise, meaning like they get paid from him. And basically, like, if Rihanna, let's say like Rihanna goes to a Diddy party, she's gonna be sold to a sultan to have sex with this person and that person and blah 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 and all this. And that's not really how it happened. A lot of these people were having consensual relations with him and plenty of other people, and he was just hiring sex workers for them, essentially. And I know that doesn't seem like a hard delineation, but in legal terms, it very much is. It's not like, Ashton Kutcher was at the party and he's like, yo, Diddy, how much for me to be with this person? And then give Diddy the money. That's not what happened. What happened was Diddy just hired 20 different people and then invited a bunch of famous people and was just like, yo, I'm throwing down. All these people are down. Come through and be part of the party. And that's what happened. It's almost like, I can explain it in drug terms a little bit better. Like, what the feds are doing to Diddy right now is almost like, imagine if you were just like a party guy. You just like partying a lot, right? And you bought like a kilo of coke, right? Just random mass amount of cocaine. And you get stopped by the police, right? When the police stop you and they arrest you, they're arresting you for the cocaine, but they're probably gonna try to hit you with intent to distribute. You know what I'm saying? But they might not be able to get you with the intent to distribute because you're not selling the cocaine. You were just bringing the cocaine to a party for everybody to do. You paid for it. They're not giving you money in order to do that cocaine. You're just with them and they're doing it. You're their friend and that's fine. And that's where the whole RICO part of everything kind of breaks down. He's not exchanging all that stuff. And that's why, he's not exchanging money with these people coming to the party in order to have access to the people that he's hired for the party. He just hired the people and they're also at the party and now the activities. So that kind of really breaks down the RICO. And then when you add on a lot of the shady, retellings of these things, a lot of people recanting statements, certain people just wanting money, it makes the whole entire thing look bad, and it could definitely lead to a mistrial or even possibly a not guilty. So this is a really crazy moment, and honestly, I think if people wanted to see justice, they really should have went for, or the LA, police department or something probably should have went for SA. Like hit him with an SA charge, hit him with a domestic violence charge, because those, for the most part, based on the casting video at the hotel, would have fit, But when they went too far with this whole RICO and criminal mastermind thing, whether or not it may or may not be true, because he has so much legitimate money, it makes it very hard to trace all that together. You got to think, when it comes to RICO cases and shit, man, you have the mob guys and you have the dumb rappers, right? And Puff is neither of those guys. The dumb rappers, they make money from their rap, then they pay their dumb friends to go spin the block on their enemies. That's what Dirk is currently sitting in jail for right now. Contracts, for hire. Puff didn't really do that. He would realistically just kind of do favors for people. And I know that kind of sounds sinister as well, and it is, but when you do favors for people rather than taking money, you add a lot of plausible deniability. Because a favor is just a favor, I do something for you. I mean, just because you do something for me doesn't necessarily mean I'll do something for you. Whereas if I give you money, something has to happen. So I think that's the biggest issue with this whole Puff thing. And it's kind of a shame, man. It almost reminds me of the George Zimmerman trial with Trayvon Martin, basically the whole public wanted George Zimmerman to be tried for murder. So they wanted to try him for murder. But realistically, what they should have tried him for was manslaughter. you know, because it was a lot closer to manslaughter and it was a lot easier to get. But it was this whole theatrical thing with George Zimmerman of the Skittles and Ice-T and just a boy walking and all that shit. So the lawyers wanted to go for murder, and I understand that. It looks better. I'm sure the lawyer wanted it too, because the result looks better as well too, rather than just a manslaughter conviction. But at the same time, that's just not how shit goes, man. And you can end up sacrificing getting someone who's been actually violated the justice that they deserve, just because you were trying to go for something a little bit bigger. You know, your eyes were bigger than your stomach. So, you know, I don't really know. At the end of the day, there's a lot more days that are going to be happening with this whole Diddy trial. I do know Leonardo DiCaprio is supposed to be taking the stand, which is wild, absolutely wild. But there's definitely a lot more to come. So there's no definitions of any of these things. It's not guaranteed that he's going to get off, but it does look pretty convincing to me. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even going to cut this video. I'm literally just shooting it, putting it up. So let me know what you think, and we'll talk later. Peace.